Hi guys! So it's been about a year since we bought our BYD Sealion 7 and today we're going to do a video to share our thoughts after owning it for a year. For context, we used to own a petrol car for about 7 years, and then before that we were also leasing petrol cars. So initially when we got an EV, we weren't sure if we'll get used to it or whether we'll regret getting an EV car or not.
Roughly a year has passed, and these are some of the thoughts that we have after driving, owning an EV. I'll break down into a few segments. So the first one would be the experience of driving it so far.
We are based in KL, and usually in cities, the traffic, sometimes during peak hours, it can get really bad. There's a lot of cars on the road and then you get jammed for quite a bit of time.
And one thing I like about this BYD Sealion is they have this ACC, ICC mode. I don't know whether the CC is what, but I think it's intelligent cruise control and auto cruise control. So when we are stuck in a traffic jam, all I have to do is just to press one button. It will activate the ACC or ICC mode. And it will just tag along the first car in front, okay, following their speed. I can set the speed limit of how much I can go. I can set the car distance of how many length. And then it will just auto drive with the car in front in a jam. And my leg doesn't have to step on the accelerator or brake. I think that's one thing that makes driving enjoyable in KL, especially during the peak hour and traffic jam. Yeah, because I literally don't have to brake and accelerate. All I have to do is just monitor the traffic, put my hands on the steering wheel, and then look out for motorcycles at the side. And this is also very useful on a highway. The only time when we did a long distance driving was from KL to JB and then JB back to KL. And during that time, I was using ICC as well, the auto cruise control. It was just driving along the way, following the routes. Even when there's no car in front, you can use it as well. And then you can set the speed limit to 110 km per hour or more or less. And then you'll just drive accordingly.
The next feature is something that both of us are very appreciative of, because in the past when we owned a petrol car, it didn't have this feature. So whenever the car was parked under the sun, the whole car feels like an oven when we get in, especially if I'm wearing short pants, right? It literally feels like my legs are being cooked when we enter the car.
So you can basically go into the phone app, the BYD app, and then turn on cooling mode before you go into your car. And then the car will just turn on the aircon, they full blast the whole interior. And then when you enter the car, right, you just feels cooling.
When we know that we are returning back to the car already at the shopping mall, before we make our way to the car, Sean will turn on his app, cool down the car. By the time you get in, it's super comfortable. There is no burning sensation on your hands or your legs. Yeah,
I always do this when the car is parked under the sun. Especially in countries like Malaysia, Singapore, the weather is super hot. You park your car outside for 10 to 15 minutes, right? It's really baking really. And there's even one more mode that I like a lot. It's the seat ventilation mode. For me, right, my favorite about the car is seat ventilation. I don't like to go out and then come back into the car. After you shower, you do your hair, everything ready, you do your makeup ready, you go into the car, then you still sweat, right? But then you can turn on the seat ventilation, right? It cools down your back so much that you feel cooling. Yeah, I like that mode a lot.
I think when we went for short trails, right, and then the weather was very hot, Sean usually perspires a lot on his back. Then when he come into the car, he can just turn on seat ventilation. Then he's like, very shook.
It feels like you enter a shopping mall.
The next thing that we really enjoy about the BYD Sealion 7 is, of course, the size and comfort of the car. I think it's quite a tall car, and there's a lot of leg room. Even when my dad comes in, my dad is pretty big size. When he comes into the car, he said the back seat is very comfortable, it's very spacious. His legs don't feel cramped at all, even when Sean adjusts his car seat to the back quite a bit. So I think that is one thing that we appreciate a lot, just the comfort of it. And at the same time, because the car is tall. So sometimes we see news about flash flood in KL. We were a bit worried because in the past our car was pretty low. So we didn't have any issues with flash flooding, touch wood, with this car.
And I still add on the flooding insurance just in case. And the good thing is this car is very high. I can see a lot of the traffic, the car, even blind spot. There are blind spot cameras as well. And then there are notifications about my blind spot also. But then the best is the behind, the back seat. The back seat is the most spacious area. I think Rachel slept behind before.
I can just lie down and sleep very comfortably behind.
But I want to put this out front first. We are not car geeks. We don't know a lot of things about cars. Okay, we are just sharing our honest thought after driving EV for a year. So next we are going to talk about any issue that we have met so far with this car. the first thing that I experienced was the side mirrors. Sometimes when I lock the door or unlock the door, they auto open and close. Yeah, on some sites, they don't open or close. I think somebody bumped into it and then the motor got damaged. Yeah, this one is minor issue lah. I mean, last time our car, we had it worse.
Yeah.
And you have to force push it. Still remember?
Manually push it open.
And then the second one would be the blind spot camera. It got misty, so it's a bit blurry. Basically, what this blind spot camera does is whenever I turn on signal, I can see my blind spot on the screen in front here in the car. So this one will help me see the blind spot. I don't have to turn like this to check my blind spot lah. So the camera itself, there's a little bit of mist, so it got blurry in the middle. When I brought the car for servicing for our first year, these two issues got it fixed really fast. Any other issue other than that, I would say no. The driving has been really smooth. There's no weird sound or anything, no software glitch, bug. Yeah, how about you?
No, very comfortable.
Your electric seat leh? Even the passenger car seat also got like electric one, so you can move up, down, up, down. Then I think the only thing missing is there's no massage mode.
Asking for too much.
I think the next point we need to talk about would be the range anxiety. Many people commented in our previous video like, hey, do you all feel driving EV will give you this anxiety like, oh, your battery percentage getting lower and lower? How? Compared to, petrol car, previously, you just have to find the nearest petrol station and then just pump your petrol easily. 2 to 3 minutes you're done. But then this one you have to do more planning when you're traveling long distance. I mean, for us, we don't travel that far yet. We don't travel state to state yet. So there isn't any range anxiety at all.
I think the only time Sean tried it was from KL to JB, and that was about
300 plus
five
kilometer.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 5 hours. So it was quite tiring for him also. So we are not particularly keen on doing more long-range driving as of right now.
But I would love to.
And even during that drive from KL to JB, there were a lot of R&R in between,
Yes.
which provided EV charging. So
Yeah.
that wasn't a problem. There was one time we went to the R&R and then I went to the toilet to take a poop. And then within that 15 minutes, Sean managed to charge his car. It was fast charging. And I think it charged until almost full.
I think Malaysia, most of along the highway, the R&R stops, they all have fast charging available. It's just whether it's available at that point of time or not. So there were times where we drove to R&R where it's fully taken, and then we have to go to the next one,
And then it's
all
available.
done. Yeah. So range anxiety, we don't have it because the native GPS map itself shows where are the nearest charging point, and they even plan a route for you. So by the time you drive to here, you will have 20% left. Then I recommend you to charge first. Yeah, so it's quite useful. But so far, we have been doing city driving, like driving from malls to parks,
Yeah.
to various places within KL or even further a bit.
Klang Valley, yeah.
Yeah, there's no issue at all. There's a lot of charging infrastructure all around here.
You go to any malls, most of them have at least 1 or 2 lots, especially the newer malls, for EV charging. So there's not much of an issue. And also, because under our condo, you can straight away charge already. So we just plan ahead. Like if I know that the car is low on battery, then just charge the night before for a few hours, and then after the next day is full already. So far, no issue.
Most of the time, I would prefer to park my car at our condo to charge it. Yeah, but the good thing about driving an EV is whenever you go to mall, right, the EV charging lot,
It's very close to the lobby. Yeah.
yeah, so if I cannot find any parking bays around,
Just go to the EV charging,
go to EV and charge it there. Then it's just beside the mall entrance most of the time, like TRX.
Yeah, the
Surya
TRX
Mall.
one didn't even require you to charge. It was just a designated bay for EV cars, but you don't need to pay to charge.
Yep. There's even dedicated like EV hybrid parking bay for you to park. When you park already, you just have to cross the road, then you go in already into the mall. But the only thing about the charging infrastructure is it's not all in one. There's multiple apps. There is like Jom Charge, then Shell Plus. There's too many apps already. My phone got so many charging apps, right? And the worst is sometimes you need to top up credit and to put it inside. But then you don't know when you're going back to use it again. So you have a bit of credit, which is money, into each app that you don't know when you're going back. So for now, we just choose either to use the Jom Charge app or the one below our house.
So you just choose whichever app is applicable to you the most, you see it the most around your area or the places that you visit. Just have those like 2 or 3 apps can already. Don't have too much. I think at the start we tried to like, download every single app, and then at some point we were like, for what?
Yeah, lor, now I got like 15 ringgit in one app, 30 ringgit in another app, which I cannot find the charging unless we go to the place that we go. But along the arena, most of it I see Jom Charge or Gentari, and these two lah. There were once or twice where we experienced this. We wanted to charge my car, but then there are normal petrol car parked at the EV lot. Then I was like, that car how come got exhaust pipe behind one? Why is it like charging? Then I'll go over and see, like we drove past it to see, the car is a petrol car, but it's parking at the EV lot. This is something that sometimes you see this like, alamak, but there's like the whole parking is full already.
But I think at the end of the day, when it comes to charging, we always try to prioritize charging at home because that's like the guaranteed that you will have battery in your car. Ma.
Yeah, but sometimes got people car battery low.
Yeah lah.
Then they just want to charge, but then there's a petrol car that's blocking, so need to be a bit more considerate.
Next is also the cost of charging. I think quite a number of people asked us about it. It was also one of the considerations that we had before we decided to get an EV car. We asked around at that point to a lot of EV car owners, and there was this lady who was driving a BYD doing Grab, right? So we asked her whether it was cheaper than paying for petrol in Singapore or not. Yeah, and she told us yes, and we were like, oh really? It's cheaper than petrol car. Yeah, so that was one of the things that we considered.
Checking the history of charging and how much we spend. So far on average, right, we spend around 120 ringgit per month on EV charging. And the rate here is 1 ringgit per kilowatt. Previously, when we drive in Singapore with a petrol car, per month the petrol is roughly around 200 Singapore dollars. Even if I put it this way, I don't convert the currency, okay? Like petrol will be $200. Let's just say in Malaysia, petrol 200 ringgit versus charging the car at 120 ringgit is also quite a significant difference really. Plus the thing is, right, we are foreigner. So if this car is a petrol car and we go to the petrol kiosk to...
we also cannot use the subsidized petrol, right?
Yeah, there isn't any subsidy for foreigner. So driving EV for foreigner might be a smarter choice. Next will be the cost of maintenance. I think so far, I've brought the car twice to servicing. Recently was the first year, the 1 year servicing. And the total cost for the whole servicing was 150 ringgit. What they did was they top out wiper fluid and then they adjust the car and then they fix the 2 issues that I mentioned. So the side mirror plus the blind spot camera, the glass. Yeah, because EV don't need engine oil change, don't need spark plug or transmission fluid. The thing that they do during servicing is all very basic. Yeah, like mostly it's about the tires.
And this was also something that we heard before we bought an EV car, that servicing was going to be quite easy, and it's true, our experience is also the same.
The only thing that have issue with your car is the battery. I mean, the big portion is all about battery because you're driving EV.
Yeah.
So the previous time when we were driving our petrol car, it was a Mazda 3. When we brought it for servicing, sometimes they tell us, I need to change the what belt. I don't know about car. So you need to change the belt, $400+. Then need to change your brake pads. Then need to change this and that. Sometimes the servicing goes up to $2,000+.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, which is like, wow, I didn't know my servicing. I thought this one cover under the, sometimes you buy the car. We also bought a brand new car in Singapore. The brand new car, they give you like up to 100,000 kilometer free servicing. But then all this you have to pay extra also.
I think also, to be fair, that car was about, by the time we drove it nearing the end, it was about 7 years old already. So maybe that was when the maintenance got a bit more expensive. So we will update you guys as we drive this EV car for a few more years. See whether it really is cheaper in the long run or at the end of the day it's the same as petrol car. We'll see.
So the next would be road tax. The road tax only started this year in 2026 because previous year it was all like exemption for EV.
In Malaysia.
In Malaysia. So for us, when they tell us that we need to start paying for road tax really, we actually went to the post office, something like a post office there to pay for the road tax. Yeah, so the road tax is 330 ringgit for a year for BYD Sealion 7. The next thing will be car insurance. For us, our insurance is around 2,200 ringgit because I added the flood package on top of it. Yeah, and then previously for our car insurance, we didn't have NCD. We didn't know. But thankfully, a number of you guys commented in our previous video that hey, you can actually use your Singapore NCD and then send it over to the car insurance company here. Then they can continue NCD. Yeah, so this is what we did. Thank you guys so much. And we got 55% discount for our insurance. They actually refunded us the excess amount. So per year is 2,200 ringgit for our car like this.
What I like about our EV, I think one of the biggest difference would be the sound. It's so silent. When we bring our cats to the vet, they don't get, spooked out so badly. And I think the lady who introduced us to BYD, the Grab driver, she also mentioned the same thing. She used it as her family car as well, and she said that she has quite a few kids and her kids just sleep very soundly in the car. So I think that's a thing that, parents or parents will appreciate. And when the car starts and drives out of the car park lot, you can really feel the difference. Like with petrol car, it's like, like that, right? But with EV, it's so quiet. I tell you, if really zombie apocalypse or what, right? You drive past, the zombies won't even hear you. They won't attack your car.
Yeah, unless you're going to a car park, then you got the sound from the tire.
But if you drive through like a zombie horde, there's no sound.
Also, one thing I like is the acceleration for the car is really good. Like if you are coming out from a smaller lane to the big road,
you're less likely to hog traffic because of how quick the car can pick up.
Sometimes when I step the accelerator high enough, right, both of us will boom to the back one.
Yeah.
Right? Overall, it's a very strong car. Like can go 0 to 100 within a few seconds. And then the next thing would be the Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Yeah, but for me, I'm using Android phone, so I use Android Auto. And one thing I like is I can use Google AI here. That means like Gemini, I can use Gemini to plan the traffic or to
ask it questions.
Yeah, to ask questions. You know, the native one, when I ask them to ask questions, they'll say, I don't understand what you're talking about. But now with like Gemini AI inside the whole car, right, I can just randomly ask questions.
Things that are not related to the ride.
Yeah.
I think that would be really helpful.
When is the next public holiday in Malaysia?
The next public holiday is actually tomorrow, Sunday, May 31st, for Wesak Day. Since it falls on a Sunday, most states will have a replacement holiday this coming Tuesday, June 2nd. Also, Monday, June 1st is a national holiday for the Yang di Pertuan Agong's birthday. So you're looking at a pretty long weekend. Heads up, traffic might be a bit heavier than usual with everyone heading out. Planning to head anywhere special for the break?
The next thing that I really like, I need to emphasize again, is the ventilated seats. Well, I really like that a lot, man. Especially for places like Malaysia, Singapore, all the hot countries. Yeah, the car seat really makes your day so much better, makes your mood so much better. You don't feel so angry, sweaty, sticky.
So overall, any regrets getting EV as your first car in Malaysia?
I would say no regrets. I actually enjoy driving this a lot because the steering is so smooth, so fine. Because sometimes when we need to travel back to Singapore to and fro, we left our car in our parking bay for many days, for weeks, sometimes even months. And then there's no issue when we come back to start the car because this is an EV. You still remember that time when we didn't drive our petrol car?
Yeah.
We left it in the parking lot and then we travel overseas.
Yeah, when we come back, the car cannot start.
So this car, the longest time we have left in the parking bay will be around 2 months.
Yeah, I think that was at the very start when we moved to Malaysia and we were settling a lot of things in Singapore. That was when we needed to leave the car alone. And the good thing was it's connected to the app.
I left my car there for 2 months. The battery only go down 2% or 3%. Yeah, then I can see the GPS of where my car is. So the app is constantly upgrading. I don't think the app is as good as the one Tesla have, but better than nothing lah, I feel.
Overall, cost-wise, I think because of the charging price versus petrol and also the minimal amount that we need to pay for servicing, we did save quite a significant amount compared to if we had bought a petrol car. But if it comes to long distance road trips, go through different states, maybe it'll be a different story, will require a bit more planning. Yeah, but we don't usually do that yet lah for now.
Yeah, because so far I'm confident about the charging infrastructure in KL, JB, because this is where I've been to. But then if I were to travel to other states, I'm not so sure. I have to do some research first. That's one thing lah. Compared to like petrol, you can just drive. Because confirm you know there's a petrol kiosk or station here and there. I think driving an EV is really good for city driving. But if you are someone who travel long distance, most of the time for work or for personal reasons, hybrid will be a better choice for you. Hybrid car is like something like the EV and petrol, where the distance is like 1,000 kilometers, like the one J-Cool has.
Yeah, and also I think when we bought this car, the charging requires maybe a few hours to achieve full charge. But there are the newer models of EV that has fast charging already.
Yeah, if I were you and I really want to have an EV now, then you can get it for city driving, yes. But if you are somebody who really want to travel long distance most of the time, then I would say wait a few more years. I mean, the technology is constantly improving. There are cars that have longer and longer range already. Yeah, but because this BYD Sealion, the max range is 500 plus kilometer. But I know that the newer cars have 700 plus kilometer range, and sooner or later it's going to be like 1,000 kilometer. By 1,000 kilometer, right, you can travel like from JB all the way to Penang already, no issue.
So there won't be range anxiety already.
Yeah, and the charging speed will be way faster already because now they have this new technology of like 5-minute flash charging, but then our car cannot.
You know, when you go to cold countries, your cameras, right, with battery usually
Even
die
your
super
phone,
quickly. Yeah,
yeah.
your phone will drop the battery a lot quicker in cold countries. Because we are in Malaysia, so the climate is fine for the EV car. I'm not sure if the external environment might affect the battery. I'm not sure. Maybe people who have experience with that can share with us. So maybe EV is really good for warmer
Tropical country.
climates.
Yeah. So that's my honest thought after driving for around a year on this BYD Sealion EV car. If you ask me, would I go back to a petrol car?
I think cannot go back already.
No, I would say no. I prefer driving EV. For me, I think once I switch to EV, I don't want to go back to petrol car anymore.
This is not sponsored, by the way. We bought our car on our own and just sharing our thoughts. And yeah, we hope that it's helpful for anyone who is deciding to get an EV or not, or a BYD Sealion 7 or not. Yeah, so far we enjoy it lah. So that's it for today's video. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Bye!
Let's go. We ain't slowing down, baby, come and show me how. Gotta do it right now, you know you gotta hold me down. Can I let the moment pass? Good things, they never last.